0. Hey everybody, and welcome to my second episode of Feedback, where I take a replay from Starcraft Feedback, a subreddit, obviously, and watch the replay and try to make it a video for the poster, really. I guess not as much audience entertainment as it is for us to learn about the game and help whichever player learn more about the game as well. Maybe help them get through whatever problem they're having. Today, I found the replay here. Here's Starcraft Feedback. And the player's name is Sixogeta, and he'll be the red protoss in the bottom right of... I don't remember what this map's called, but you all know it. Everybody knows this map. What is this map? Something Wasteland or Akalon Waste, that's what it is. Ha! Yeah, I remember it now. And he's asking, every time I try to understand PvP, I'm always a little confused. I might need to harass a bit with Blink Stalkers, improve engagement micro, and work on macro. And he's asking for help and criticism. So let's start the game, and we'll try to see what kind of things we see. It's always good to get another pair of eyes on the game, even if I'm just a lowly platinum myself. I can sure as shit watch and try to point out some things that might help Sixogeta or Sixogeta. Wow, I've been calling him the wrong thing for the whole time. Great. Well, I'm very tired. Apologies to you, Sixogeta, especially if I say your name wrong again. I might just call you Six, because that's a lot easier to say. So, you're putting down the first pylon at 9, very standard, very obvious. You're getting 50 minerals, you're pumping out that other worker, and you know what? Nightrain is doing pretty much similar things. I don't think we really have to worry about that as well. Sounds like you went for Blink Stalkers, I guess. Yeah, so we'll see what you decide to do with them. It's good that you have an idea of what you want to do in the first 12 minutes of the game. Having a build set up is always good. You know, even if it's a new build that you just made up, as long as you have a plan. It's very important to start with a plan. And I don't mean just a build order that you're following randomly, but a plan for the whole game, really. As in, do I want to be the aggressive one? Do I want to be the one that focuses on macro more? Where do I want to be late game? And what kind of stance do I want to take for the whole game? Those are really important things to think about. Generally, an unhelpful way of thinking in this game is to think, how am I going to win? How am I going to kill the other guy? If you start thinking that way, you're narrowing yourself to a very slim scenario where you think in your head, oh, it will be so sick if I, for instance, if you're going Blink Stalkers, to think, it will be so sick to at like 15 minutes pop in with like 12 Blink Stalkers and just kill him. Instead, it's always good to think about, how am I going to get through the early game? How am I going to get through the mid game? And how am I going to get to the late game? It's always good to think in stages to simplify the things you need to do and streamline the tasks you're doing. So far, let's see. I'm going to pause here and we're going to look at what things you've already scouted. You did not scout the second gas. And let's see, everybody can. You knew that a cybernetics core was going down. So there are a bit of limited choices that you know Nightrain can take at this moment. I'm wondering why you decide to leave early, because usually the build starts once the cybernetics core gets down. So I would suggest next time sticking around for a couple more minutes as cybernetics core, post cybernetics core, because post cybernetics core is, oh, he messed up on the gas there, but no problem, I'll fix that. Post cybernetics core, most likely a mothership core is going to come down or a stalker is going to come down, and after that a robotics Stargate Bay or a Stargate or something of that nature will come down. And that's what you really want to be searching for. Is it going to be a Twilight Council? Is it going to be a Stargate? Is it Robo? Is it going to be more gateways? Knowing that is way more important than anything else. And once you see the gas count post Cybercore, that's also important. You see here, he messed up on the gas, so he wasn't able to get a Stargate as early. But that Cybercore dictates every choice that a protoss is going to make. Even if you lose that probe because of a stalker, it's worth it, because you're delaying whatever thing he's going to do, or you're going to scout it. Either way, wonderful to see. So he's going Oracle and 3 gates. Meanwhile, you're going Robotics Facility to go for that early Observer and getting 2 more gates of your own. So 3 gates Robo against 3 gates Stargate. And so immediately and he's going Phoenix, Jesus Christ. So both of you, it's like you played Russian roulette and he won basically, because no Stargate unit can shoot up, whereas Phoenixes can nullify Immortals as well as take down Warp Prisms and Colossus. So you've been put in a hard place here. Since he's going Stargate, he's gonna go and try to harass you a bit. That's generally what a Stargate player will do. Back at your base, you have the Observer here. I'm guessing you either forgot about the Observer. Oh no, you have another Observer going out. So you have this Observer at home in case he was going DTs. And this Observer you send out to see what possible kind of thing Nightrain is going for. You're hanging out at the front here, and you're gonna see him take the Nexus. But I don't know if you still don't know about the Stargate, so that's kind of a dangerous position to be in. And you finally see the Stargate, you finally see the 2 Phoenixes, and the 2 Phoenixes start circling around kind of crazy like. I don't know what they're doing exactly, but you see the Stargates, and 1 Immortal has come down, and you decide to put down 2 Forges at this time. I guess you're thinking in your head at this point, well, I need a Forge to put down a cannon anyway. Might as well get started on my upgrades as well, so I'll put down 2 Forges. Possibly, maybe. Yeah, that's I would say that's a reasonable reaction to seeing Phoenix Stargate opening. Let's continue on with the game. We have Nightrain going with the air weapons. He's really solidifying this air weapons thing going on as he makes more Phoenixes. And now that he has 4 Phoenixes, yeah, he's gonna probably go out to harass. I don't know why he'd keep his Phoenixes here even at 3. But so there he goes. And he started on that. Your Forges have started, and you've started on the upgrades. I'm sorry for pausing. Let's continue. 1 more gateway for you. More Phoenixes coming out for Nightrain. And Nightrain busy with the macro elsewhere. Leaves his Phoenixes over there. As both of you takes your Nexuses, Nexi. Worker count, resounding 31 for you, 23 for him. So, good job on the macro part. I think economy-wise, you're doing a much better job than he is. So, plus for you there. Here are the Phoenixes finally. They're not microed perfectly well. You don't have to, I guess you kind of freaked out and you started moving your workers. You don't have to move workers around when they're Phoenixes. It's just impossible for you to, well, it's useless and you're just wasting mining time. Just ignore it and, yeah. Just ignore it and keep on mining. Interesting idea with the Dark Shrine, but only thing he has to do against the Dark Shrine is make a couple of oracles, or you might even force him to make a forge with cannons, or at worst maybe even make a robo facility. But so now you decide to push out. Nice defense here, by the way, with mothership core, 2 cannons, and then getting the photon overcharge. For a battle like this against air, I don't even know if I would bring the mothership core. Phoenixes can do so much damage against the mothership core. So, you know, whatever. And now you decide to push out his front right now. Does he even know about this? No, I don't think he even knows about it. This is an interesting timing from you. And starting on that 2 armor already, so nice job on the upgrades too. You were worried about your macro, but I feel like your macro is actually pretty steady. If you look at it, you've consistently been making probes, so wonderful there. And your Dark Shrine finished, but you decide to make 3 more stalkers, and they just warped in and you're pushing out. I would suggest next time either making DTs, putting them in the front, or if you're gonna have stalkers, clump them together so that they can concentrate fire better on things. But yeah, so they kind of, you see the problem here. Your stalkers just kind of walked right into zealots, and zealots will kick ass. So really, the loss here was that you didn't make the DTs even after you made the Dark Shrine, and then you lost the engagement against the zealots. Notice none of the zealots died, which is pretty big. And after losing so many stalkers, no matter how good your economy is, you're now behind on a huge amount of army. And he's gone for the robo to get his own observer out against the possible DTs that he should have seen. If you are going to go DTs, always have a reason for going DTs. Harassing, making him defend more. These are good reasons to go DTs. For instance, I want to stop here and try to word this carefully. DTs are a great unit to use for harassing and putting pressure on the opponent to defend correctly. Because if you don't defend correctly against DTs, you can use a shit ton of economy, right? So when they're defending, the best thing for you to do is to be expanding. So what you want to do with DTs is basically buy time for you to get more economy. You're already ahead in economy, but you lost all of your army. So what you want to do with these DTs is send them out ASAP so that you can start making your army once more. And with the DTs, also scout what kind of thing he's doing. So keep that in mind. DT's finally moving out. Burp, burp, burp. And you're taking that Nexus. Good call. Good call. Nightrain's first observer is going out, and you decide to go back on the DTs because I think you just lost your observer, probably. So you're like, oh, well, fuck that idea. Fuck DTs. Yeah, the DTs came out a little too late, I feel like. And it's too bad about that. And once you feel like DTs are kind of useless, you might as well just make them into Archons. Especially when you know that the other guy is going air and heavy zealots. Because Archons will do a ton of damage against the zealots and good damage against the air units as well. Right now, you only have 5 stalkers as your anti-air. So, you know, it's kind of hard place. That's why the Archons aren't a bad idea. Making a couple more gateways. Excellent. And yeah, just staying on top of those upgrades. I think that's wonderful. If there's anything you've done really well, it's the macro part. You've stayed on the upgrades very well, and you're constantly making more workers over and over again. So that's good, dude. That's good. You're at 50 to 47. He's caught up in the worker count finally. But you had the biggest worker lead for the longest time, so that's very good. Nightrain now is taking his third as well. No real visions from you guys at all at this moment. You have no vision of the third. You've made the Archon with the DT. You don't even know what his army looks like at this point. So I would suggest one of the things to do this late in the game, constantly try to find ways to scout what he's doing. Observers are kind of gas heavy and precious, but sending one probe, not so big of a deal. Especially when you're making 3 probes at a time, you know? They only cost 50 minerals. Just send one out, go to his base, see what's going on. It's never a bad idea to see what's happening over there. And he's now making multiple Archons as well, which is interesting because High Templars are always so good. Both of you just taking your gases and your stuff. You could have definitely maxed out faster. You do have a lot of money and gas equally, so I'm guessing more DTs for more Archons would be good. Do you have charge? No. Charge is pretty important. Post mid-game, like late mid-game like this, blink becomes less important than charge does. But you don't have enough zealots, so I can see your reasoning on going for blink instead of charge. Couple more Archons here. Good job. Archons go much better with zealots, but against air, I can understand going for Stalker Archon instead. So that's fine. Oh yeah, you don't even have to send a probe to scout. Don't forget that you have hallucination, and one hallucinated phoenix can get a huge scouting advantage. So yeah, always remember, especially late game like this, when you don't really need these guys much except for Guardian Shield, feel free to spend some of your energy with hallucinated phoenixes for your scouting. And you decide now is the time to push out. But if you look at the unit counts, it's 165 to 172. So he's slightly ahead. With good micro, with these stalkers though, you can do a pretty good job. And now that you feel like you want to push out, you get worried and you send a Phoenix. But like I was saying, if you're staying at home, just kind of doing nothing, it's always a good idea to send out Phoenixes once in a while to know what's going on. And in the meantime, Nightrain decides to start dropping, but I think he mismicroed, and he had these guys in a group, and so he started sending them back again. Finally sending them to the correct position to make a drop, probably into your main once you decide to push into him. Looking at the unit count now, you're at 166 and pylon block, supply block, whereas he is at 198. And you're making 3 pylons at the same time, taking your 4th. And now he drops into your 3rd. Thankfully, the photon cannons do a bit of good damage. And your stalkers are able to come back. Don't forget you have blink. Good job focusing firing on the War Prison. Don't forget next time also, if you have your stalkers here, you can blink them up over here to move in and defend up here. He's making you make stalkers which is never a good thing, especially late game when you want to be using your gas on other things like High Templars or whatnot. He's making a ton more High Templars. Does he have Storm? Yeah, he does. So now you have to be careful of Storms as well. High Templars against gateway units like this and air are never a bad thing to do. You send in your own Zealots, but you send them in from the front, and they just kind of get taken over. And now your guys aren't really all together, and his death ball starts up before your death ball, and your Zealots are kind of stuck here. Let's take this very slowly. Let's start back a little bit more. So you're caught out of position. Your Zealots are behind. Storms go down. Stalkers never use their blink. Archons get vaporized by all of the Void Rays. At this point, I'm guessing Nightrain has way too much to for you to deal with here. And you make a ton of Stalkers here, but Stalkers aren't so hot against this composition here because they can chase you to the ends of the earth. His Phoenix goes down. He decides to back up. Doesn't really matter for him. He can just get more Zealots now and chase your Stalkers down. You've taken the 4th before him though, and you're opening up more gateways. It's not bad. He's finally getting his 3-3. Or no, he's just getting 2-2 on his ground right now. So, I mean, look how great you were about upgrades, really. That's just amazing. Good job on upgrades. You really were above him in that. Sadly, you only have gateway unit production except for 1 robo, and you're not even using that. High Templars are great against that. Archons are good against that. Void Rays are good against everything. So you're in a pretty bind position. And now you're making the Zealots. They don't have charge though. And the Archons, I mean, he has 5 Archons. They can destroy these Zealots so quickly. And once again, your Stalkers are in front. And if you start the battle, you have to remember to blink back. Not blink forward. Definitely not blink forward. Because your Zealots still aren't doing anything. Finally they get into battle once the Stalkers are all dead. And now you try for Archons, but he's traded cost effectively twice. And he's just slowly building up his army and taking his 4th now. As great as you are, as much better than him. Let me try saying that again. Compared to how good he is economically, you are much better. But that doesn't matter after losing big armies like that multiple times. And I know you must be frustrated at this point because you're thinking, how the hell can I destroy this? Because this is hard. This is hard to destroy. There's absolutely no way. Even Colossus wouldn't help in this situation. And so you're making Stalkers and Archons. But if you don't maneuver them carefully, they're just gonna get destroyed again. How many, yeah, he has enough High Templars, and he's gonna be able to storm huge next time. And yeah, his macro falters a lot. Like, he doesn't even move these guys that are up here. He's moving these guys from down here. Still doesn't know about these guys. Whereas you are consistently have a good saturation at every place. And this is when he decides to push out. Looks like he's going to push out very soon, because he just got 200 again. And now he's even making 1 Tempest to really kind of and you take another Nexus and get a couple more Stalkers out, but you're only at 162 with a couple more Archons coming in, or no, getting some sentries. I don't know why you got the sentries, because late game they don't help a lot. They don't help much at all. These Stalkers come in from the front again, your Archons can't get in a good position, and you get stormed. That's a huge storm. And then you blink into the front again, a little too late. And then he finally pushes in because he just has too much, and you can't do anything about it. And that's the end of the game. So, yeah. I would say don't worry about your macro. Your macro is good enough to be in high plat, low diamond. Your upgrades, amazing, really good. Keep at them. You're doing great. I think the problem you have is you don't scout enough. Even with the amazing capabilities of scouting that Protoss have. You remember at the early 20-minute mark when you were down here? Early 20-minute mark. 14. Let's see where you were at 14. This is when it all started. Well, okay. So let's think about this. Let's start from the beginning. Nightrain has an idea. He has an idea of what he wants to do and what composition he wants at the end. He has a plan. His late game plan is, I want Void Rays, I want Archons, I want Speed Zealots. It's going to be awesome because it's going to kill everything. And then get High Templars, bonus. It can deal damage against gateway units. So he starts the game off with a Stargate to do some harassment. He never does a lot of harassment. He does a little, but it's enough to scare you a little bit and make you panic. You made this Dark Shrine after the Robo, and then so you were Robo Twilight Dark Shrined, but you weren't able to use them much to your benefit. The Dark Shrine came up when you were here at 12 minutes, but no DTs were made for the fight, and he didn't have any observers. That's one of those, ah, goddamn, if I had only known kind of moments. But if you're going Dark Shrine, and if you are going to push, why not gamble on that? And if you don't want to gamble, send out an observer. See if he has any kind of observation thing. If you had sent one observer in, maybe you might have lost the observer early on. Let's go back to 12 minutes. If he had a Robo, and he already had the observer out, you might have lost your observer, but then you'd know, okay, not the time to make the DTs. However, since you've already made the Dark Shrine, it's okay to let it go. And if he's gone DTs himself, you'll see the DTs when you push your observer in. Again, remember, full sentries. You can always, if you are going to attack, send out that Phoenix, hallucinate, send it out, see what he has. See if he has any way of detecting it. You would have won if you had scouted his buildings and then been like, oh, he doesn't have any detections, go Dark Templars, I win. So, you know, think about that. So, yeah, but it's not really about the Dark Shrine. It's about where do you want to go with your build. You made the gateways, you got the Robo, and then you saw the Phoenixes and got the Dark Shrine. And from there, your plan kind of slowly fell apart, even though you were so much better at economy and macro than he was. And that's because he knew what composition he was going for. He was always consistent with the things he wanted to do. I want to harass with Phoenixes. I want to start getting Void Rays. Now that I have Void Rays and Zealots, I want to get Archons. I want to get High Templars, and etc., etc. So it's good to think about what kind of late game composition you want. Second thing you want to think about then is, how do I get to that late game composition? If I want blink stalkers, I want to get blink early. If I want blink stalkers, I have to get blink early because I'm going to have to harass a lot. But blink stalkers usually aren't the cure-all for everything in a PvP. A lot of ways people go, in the end you definitely need some air because void rays are so good. But some people like to go robo first. You got that robo first, and you could have gone the Colossus, but you saw the Phoenixes. So then you went DT, but you already had Twilight Council. And you already had 2 Forges, which we talked about, because again you saw the Stargate. Well, if you're going against Stargate and you have the gateways, the Robo, I would say just go on with Colossus, make more gateways, concentrate on Stalkers, put some defense, like that, the Photon Cannons, and then just use your Mothership Core to Photon Overcharge. And then save your Colossus, make a ton of Stalkers, and then just push in. Because if you did that, you would have pushed in at around 16 minutes with about 3 Colossus and a buttload of blink Stalkers, and his Zealots wouldn't mean anything, and then your Stalkers could have taken care of all of his air. So it's very important to think about what kind of composition do I want late game, and how do I get to that composition? And then you structure your build around it. If you try to be reactive to the other player's build sometimes you can get a little flustered, and you make these kind of facilities that you haven't quite prepared in your mind how to use to the best of your abilities. So yeah, just something to think about. And since War Prisms are slightly quicker now, even if you see Phoenixes, to keep them home, you can hallucinate 1 War Prism. Or, no, I'm sorry, make 1 War Prism and drop Zealots into his base, making the Phoenixes go back home to take care of it. And then after that, you can constantly just hallucinate War Prisms out and keep his freaking Phoenixes at home, because they're going to be so busy trying to defend against that. So, yeah, main points: know what kind of late game army you want to go for, ask yourself how I want to get there, and structure a build around it. Your macro is already good. And finally, never blink into an army, always blink back. And remember to in the beginning of the engagement, remember to let your Zealots and Archons push forward instead of putting your Stalkers in front of them. Besides that, I think you're going to be a great player. You just need a bit more experience with battles and things like that. So I hope this video helps you, because if you follow a couple of those key points, you're going to be really good in no time. I mean, you're already good. You'll just be that much better. And guys like this won't be a problem at all. So, good luck. And, yeah, I guess I'll see you on ladder.